Welcome to another episode of the Adrienne Ross Show, where sports and culture connect. You either watched the WNBA Draft live or you have heard by now, I imagine, how it all went down, especially the first round of the WNBA Draft. And many of you hung out with the Adrienne Ross Show because we were live for that event. And I'm going to share some of my thoughts about the draft in this video, and I imagine other things in subsequent videos. But this particular video, I'm going to talk about the 11th pick in the draft and the first pick in the draft. And I got to tell you, as I start with the 11th pick, I'm going to give you a trigger warning, because some of y'all are probably going to get triggered by what I am going to show you. If you were in the live stream last night when the 11th pick went down, you remember this. And if you weren't, well, get ready for it. But I imagine there'll be some people who will drive by. I call them drive-bys, who'll drive by, and they might get triggered about this. I don't know what to tell you. It is what it is. And I found the moment funny. This is when Hailey Van Lith of TCU was drafted. Her name was called to go to the Chicago Sky. And some of you may know Hailey Van Lith's journey. She started out at Louisville. She was at LSU with Angel Reese. She ended up with being at TCU. She used the transfer portal to make those changes from the different colleges she went to. So she's there at the draft. We get to number 11. Her name is called, and I just found it funny, y'all. I absolutely found it funny that she's going to Chicago. I found it funny that after leaving LSU and going off and doing her thing post LSU, post Angel Reese, that her name was called for Chicago. And it wasn't you just got to watch it. But first of all, I got to tell you this. Y'all got to have to excuse me because I was chowing down on Starburst, I think it was. And so after looking at it, I'm like, I don't think I'm going to be eating hard candy again while I'm doing a live stream, because it's kind of wild, but I'm getting down on the Starburst. So that's just fair warning. Y'all gonna have to forgive me for that. So let me just start by showing you my reaction during this live stream when Commissioner Kathy Engelbert let us know that Hailey Van Lith was going to Chicago. Is she crying? Is she crying because she's happy? Or is she saying, oh my, shut down? You guys think she wanted to go? She looks kind of sad. I guess it's her destiny. She said there's no more transfer portal. There's no more transfer portal. The trend, yo, the transfer portal has run out. Oh man. She might just be like relieved that they call her name, but even her parents look sad. Transfer portal has left the building. I really like Hailey Van Lith. I wish her well. I just found it funny in a I don't know. Is funny the wrong word? I mean, I was laughing, so obviously I found it funny, but actually, she really did. Oh man, she really did look like that's not where she wanted to go. Now we're gonna look at this shortly. Angel Reese put out a message, and when asked about it, Hailey Van Lith seemed like, she was speaking positively about it, but she didn't look happy about it. And like I said, neither did her parents. And so that's not the funny part. Like, the funny part is not if she has to go somewhere she doesn't want to go. The funny part to me is just the whole thing about the transfer portal that came to my mind, because you guys know I'm not for the transfer portal. Except for, as I've said many times, rare circumstances. And when you hear about Hailey Van Lith's journey, that really might be a situation where it was extra good for her. When you hear her story and what she was going through, just mentally and stuff, and spiritually, it seems like it was a good move for her. But it just was like, I wish I had another transfer portal that I could get myself into. But welcome to the pros. That's just wild. We'll say more about that, but let's just take a look at her reaction when her name was called. I'm at Hailey Van Lith Muse, and it says a parody account on X.
From Hailey Van Lith with mom and dad, regular fixtures.
Adrienne brought in the veteran point guard, Tony Anderson, the veteran free agency, and this is a perfect opportunity now for Hailey Van Lith as a young point guard ready to speak.
Looks to be forcing a smile to me. I mean, you might disagree, but I've read other comments. I've seen a couple other snippets of videos, and it seems like I'm not the only one who got that impression that she wasn't extra happy about it. Maybe she was. Like I said in my video on the live, maybe she was just relieved that her name was called, but it kind of seemed a little bit like anticlimactic, and the energy seemed different. So that, like I said, if you're inclined to be triggered, you might get triggered by my reaction, but I'm just telling you what my reaction is and how I interpreted it. So let's look at a little bit more from Hailey. Heavens on X wrote, Hailey Van Lith smiling through the pain of returning to toxic hell. That's not my sentiments. I'm just reading what Heavens wrote. But it did look like a forced smile here. What do we know? I'm just telling you what I thought, and obviously what some other people thought.
Okay, good energy with Courtney Vandersloot. You can learn from her. You're paired back with Angel Reese. There's some good energy you can walk into in Chicago, right?
Oh, I love that energy. We're ready.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Kind of interesting, the question, actually. Like, good energy, right? It's like, yeah, I love that energy. Let's do this. Just I don't know. Anyway, this is entertainment. For her part, it looks like Angel Reese is ready to be a good teammate over on Athlon Sports. It points out that Angel Reese posted this: "We ain't do it right the first time. Let's run it back." We ain't do it right the first time. Let's run it back. So something obviously was there that first time that didn't go right. She's like, let's do this thing again. And Hailey Van Lith, she said of Angel in some comments, she's a dog, man. She turns up the intensity of everyone around her. And if you watched that video where she says that, she talks about Angel being able to pull some things out of her in a positive way. Having said that, of course, that's what you would say. I just didn't get the sense that Hailey Van Lith was down with going to Chicago. And when they call her name, I was like, she looked like she was crying. So, who knows? I personally wouldn't want to go to Chicago myself. Maybe she feels the same way. maybe everybody read it wrong. All I know is I found it mad funny, especially when I started thinking about that transfer portal. You can't get out that transfer portal. You can't lean on that transfer portal. And that's what I've been telling you all, that transfer portal, sometimes it's not preparing you for real life, for your adult life. But like I said, for Hailey, that transfer portal might have been exactly what she needed, and that may have been that extenuating circumstances that extenuating circumstance that I speak about. But I have to tell you this again, trigger people, you're gonna be triggered. I said in my comments there, I guess it's just destiny. And I think about, English teacher here, and I subject things to literature. And so this made me think of in Greek mythology. I was never a big fan of Greek mythology, but I do remember the story of Oedipus. And this made me think about Oedipus because, again, you got Hailey Van Lith. When she's at LSU, she leaves LSU. She has a great season at TCU. And then she gets the professional. This is the time. This is what you're waiting for. You done moved away from what you wanted to move away from, perhaps who you wanted to move away from, and you get to the professional career. It's the biggest day, the day you've been dreaming of. And then you find yourself, you're going to Chicago right there with one of the players that you left when you left LSU. And it made me think about Oedipus in Greek mythology. Now, raise your hand if you guys were good English students and you remember that story you were taught about Oedipus. Raise your hands. Okay, well, the teacher's going to just tell you a little bit about Oedipus. For those of you who don't know, in Greek mythology, the most famous instance of a son killing his father is the story of Oedipus. Now, we're not talking about anybody killing anybody here. Let me make that clear. But this is just what happens in this story. Oedipus, a prophesied killer of his father and husband of his mother, fulfills the prophecy unknowingly. So let me just tell you about the story. So here's the prophecy. The king of Thebes, Laius, receives a prophecy from an oracle that his son will kill him and marry his wife. Now, there's an attempt to avoid the prophecy. To prevent this, Laius orders his servant to kill the infant Oedipus, but the servant disobeys and gives him to a shepherd. Oedipus is raised in another kingdom, believing his foster parents to be his true parents. This is where we get to destiny. Despite his efforts to avoid the prophecy, Oedipus's destiny unfolds when he meets his father on the road. Didn't know it was his father, but he meets his real father on the road, and in a fit of anger, unknowing that it was his dad, he kills him. Later, Oedipus becomes the king of Thebes and unknowingly marries his mother, meaning he didn't know it was his mother. And so when the truth of his birth is revealed, Oedipus is horrified and he blinds himself. So that whole story, basically the theme of the whole thing is that you cannot get away from your destiny because it's gonna find you. So, one person says, oh, we got to get this one killed, but the other person says, no, we're not going to kill that person. And this person, thinks that they're his parents, but they're not his parents, and somebody else is his parents, and he meets him on the road and he kills his father. That's what the prophecy said. Later on, he marries his mother, didn't know it was his mother. He could not get away from the destiny of it. Again, this is not about killing anybody. This is just about destiny. And that English teacher's mind, when I saw this, it was like, Hailey Van Lith, Chicago. And she's like, no more transfer portal. It just made me think about that story. I don't know. Anyway, that's one of the things that I remember most about this draft. The other is, of course, Paige Bueckers. Paige Bueckers went number 1, as it was predicted she would. I did my poll, and people talked about the number 2 in my poll. And there were some people who thought that Paige would go number 2. but most people thought it would be Dominique Malunga, and that's exactly what happened. And Paige went to number 1. And so she will be with Arike Ogunbowale in Dallas. That should be interesting. I'll talk more about that in a moment. And also remember, Dejanay Carrington is there, and so is Nalissa Smith. And they had some other pickups there. Might be really interesting for them. So let's take a look at all of those who were drafted in the first round of 2025 WNBA Draft. I'm over at foxsports.com, and the title is 2025 WNBA Draft Results. Paige Bueckers goes first. Hailey Van Lith joins Angel Reese in Chicago. And like I said, Paige was projected to go first. I said I wouldn't be totally surprised if she did not. And I still don't know if I'd be totally surprised. I wouldn't be totally surprised if there was some wheeling and dealing done and that she did not end up staying in Dallas. But Dallas has said, and that's not happening. We're sticking with the way things are. And so Paige Bueckers, Dallas Wings, and we know what Paige can do. We've seen her play. We know she averaged on almost 20 points. She's efficient in her shooting percentage. She just won a national championship. So she did go number 1, and we'll take a look at this really quickly when she was selected.
In the 2025 WNBA Draft, the Dallas Wings select Paige Bueckers.
It's kind of interesting, and listening to people in the chat, not just the first pick, but also throughout the whole night, a lot of people felt like it didn't have that same kind of energy that last year had. I'm like, yo, Paige, you like a I mean, I know UConn was there, but I'm like, you like an Erica Wheeler in the house, because remember how she responded when the number 1 draft pick, Caitlin Clark, was announced last year. But some people felt like this was not as energetic. Some people said they were bored. There was someone who said that she was a lot of fun, but it didn't have that same flow, that same energy, I guess. And I can attest to that. But that can have to do with us. Like if you're a big CC fan, you're going to have a different reaction to this draft, I think. Anyway, you can let me know what you think about that. And it'd be interesting to see the ratings too. The viewership ratings. Okay, so number 2 was Dominique Malunga. I think I'm gonna do a separate video on her. She's from France, 6'6", and averaged 15 points. She can dunk 15 points, 10.3 rebounds. And of course, she is in France, not here in the WNBA, not here in college. She's 19 years old, and she seems super nice. And so she went number 2. And then the Mystics got Sonia Citron from Notre Dame. And we know she can score and she can defend. And so number 3. Number 4, Kiki Irfin, South Carolina, Southern California, USC, played alongside Juju, of course. And she averaged 18 points, 8.4 rebounds. She did a good job. The game that, Juju got hurt, tore her ACL, but she didn't show up big after that when they needed it. But she is number 4 going to the Mystics. And then Golden State, I'm going to mess this name up, Juste Josite, Lithuania. And I don't know, I haven't watched a lot of these players, not just the foreign players, but even the players here. I've seen some, and I saw much of the tournament, but overall, I don't know a whole lot. I'm no expert on college basketball. Washington Mystics then picked Georgia Moore from Kentucky. She's 5'6", undersized, but 19.6 points, 6.9 assists for Kentucky. Okay. And number 7, there she is there with Russell Westbrook. I think that was his design. His outfit is interesting to me, and he designed that. And so they were there together in this picture anyway. And then number 7, Connecticut Sun, Anissa Morrow. I actually thought Anissa would go before Kiki, but Anissa Morrow went to Connecticut, which is, I mean, like she's as they always say, a walking double-double. She's 6'1" and led the nation in double-doubles, averaging 18.7 points, 13.5 rebounds. And so she is going to, it's going to be interesting to see what she's able to do, obviously from LSU, because Connecticut was totally dismantled. So she can have an impact right away. Well, she can hang out with Marina Mabry, and no transfer portal for Marina Mabry either. Then Connecticut Sun, number 8, Sinai Rivers from North Carolina, 6'1", plays good defense, and was a part of the 2022 national championship team for South Carolina before she transferred. Okay. 9, Los Angeles Sparks picked Sarah Ashley Barker from Alabama. Don't know a lot about her. And she's number 9. Number 10, Asia Sivka from Slovenia. She's 6'4". Understand that she's a good pickup there for Chicago. So she will join Angel and Hailey Van Lith. And of course, Vandersloot. Number 11, Chicago Sky again. And there it is, Hailey Van Lith from TCU. I've said enough there. I'll keep it moving. And number 12, Dallas Wings, Isaiah James, also from North Carolina State. So we had 2 people from North Carolina State. And later on when we get to the later rounds, we also had South Carolina had 3 pickups there, but I'm not going to go through all those. So you can look through the second round. You can look through the third round. The link will be in the description of this video. So as I said, I really just wanted to spend most of my time talking about the 11th pick. That stands out to me. And the number 1 pick, of course, being Paige Bueckers. What do you think? Am I a bad person because I laughed so hard about no transfer portal for Hailey Van Lith, whom I do like, and I do wish her well. And we will see how that goes. But I got to be honest, and I did feel like she was disappointed. I did feel like she said all the right things, but she didn't look happy about it. That's what I got from it. Apparently, other people got the same thing, but maybe you didn't. Maybe you felt like she was overjoyed. But Chicago Sky, it is for her, and Dallas, it is for Paige Bueckers, after the rumor was that she didn't want to go to Dallas. But I didn't hear it from her mouth. Those were just the rumors. Those were the word on the street. But there she is. And I think it's going to be interesting seeing Paige with Arike, because Arike, she likes to take a lot of shots. She likes the ball in her hand. She's so much fun to watch. And Paige is not a selfish player. As good as she is, she's not selfish. In fact, Gino has criticized her because he felt like she needs to want to take over more. And then, of course, he's criticized her when she did too much. So I don't know where Gino was coming from this year. But early in the season, it didn't seem like Paige was that player that I'd been hearing everybody talk about. But she's not selfish. She'll pass the basketball. And Arike, maybe she will help Arike be even better. And giving her the ball, passing the ball, moving the ball in a way that Arike can do her thing, and maybe Arike will help Paige be even better. We'll see how it all works, because there's all this talk about will Paige shine in college, like in high school, in the WNBA, as she has in college and high school, really. So those are my thoughts. And my final thought actually is that when listening to these players, when they were interviewed, their reactions to being drafted, they just seem really, really sweet. A lot of these players, and their families were overjoyed. And that's something we talked about during the chat. Maybe the old mindset of the WNBA will be replaced by these players, many of whom just seem like really, really sweet people, very grateful people. I mean, parents who are they were just giving their parents love and honoring their parents for their sacrifice. And that was nice to see. And I'm thinking maybe that it will be out with the old, and some of these younger players coming in who are so grateful and so sweet, really. Maybe it'll be a different spirit, prayerfully, in the WNBA. Not that everybody in the old school WNBA are horrible people. I'm not saying that, but there definitely needs to be change. There definitely. And so maybe this is it. So what are your thoughts? Did you watch? What did you think? Did you find it as exciting as last year? What do you think about that first round? What do you think about Hailey Van Lith and Angel Reese reuniting? What do you think about Paige Bueckers going to Dallas? What she feels about that? Just what do you think? Really? All right. I will catch you next time, God willing. And I ask that you would subscribe to the channel, and thank you if you have. God bless you abundantly.